Okay, what is quality score? Why does it matter on Google Ads? Why should you care? Why do people, talk about and peddle 10 out of 10 quality score here, 10 out of 10 quality score there? You've got a 3 out of 10. What does that mean? You've looked in your ads report and you see that you've got really low ad relevancy and that's going in the toilet. Your expected click-through rate's not where it's supposed to be. What does that mean? We're going to go through all of that. And essentially what I'm showing here is what I've found to be on the entire internet, the most useful guide. And this is from a program called 10 Scores, which I personally use. And I think if you follow this guide, you don't even need a search engine marketing agency. You don't need to work with a search engine marketer. If you have an SEO background, if you have an SEM background, if you just have a social background, even if you're not a marketer yourself, I think you can follow this guide if you're running Google Ads and you can reduce your costs by 80% if you're not optimized. I'm just honestly getting kind of tired of people ultimately following guides like this, following some sort of SOP, and then charging $10,000 a month. It's ridiculous. It's not sustainable. It's going to cost people lots of money when you don't even know if it's going to ultimately deliver that value back. And so I just want to show you guys in this video how to do it yourself. So it's essentially quality score, a grading system, just as it says here, to determine where an ad should be placed, whether it should be placed, and how high it should be placed on the search engine page. Now, there's a helpful video here, which essentially talks high level about the difference between the levels of quality score and Google's place with quality score, why Google likes it. But let's get into why it matters. It really just determines your cost per click. Straight up. If you have a low quality score, you're going to have a high cost per click because Google has less confidence in your ad. If you have a high quality score, Google has said, this is a good ad, this is a good advertiser. They know how to serve ads that match what a user is actually searching for. We're going to give them a discount. So on the low end, if you have 1 or 2, you're not even going to get served. If you have 3 out of 10, you're going to get served, but you're going to charge, you're going to get really charged for it. 3 to 7, with 7 being no discount at all, but no extra cost. And then 8 plus is really where you'd like to be for literally everything that you do. So with that being said, the formula for cost per click is ad rank of the next advertiser you're against divided by your quality score. That's all it is. A lot of people like to say there's this incredible algorithm that they have to optimize for. It's not that complicated. You want a better cost per click, improve your quality score. That's it. How do we do that, right? And let's in fact look at cost per click at each quality score level. Okay, so let's look at baseline, 7 out of 10. No penalty, $1.42. This is just a hypothetical. Your numbers may be different. They may be the same. Now, $1.42 is our baseline. So if we're doing worse than average, essentially, maybe we're at 4 out of 10. We're already at $2.50. So we're paying $1 more than we should be. Maybe we're at 2 out of 10. We can't even run. You're paying $5, right? $3.33. Even at a 3 out of 10 versus a 7 out of 10, you're paying almost triple. Now, if you can get into what I call the holy ground, like consecrated territory of quality score, which is anywhere above 7, you start to get actually a discount. It's pretty nice. You get 10 to 20% discount. Now compare, a lot of times when I'm looking at an account, I'll see a bunch of quality scores, 3 to 5, really standard. Like people just don't know that this exists. And if they do know, they don't really know how to improve it. We'll talk about that. Don't worry. This might be a long rambling video, but I'm hoping to get you all those answers. Feel free to skip through. I'll make it easy by just breaking up the ramble into different chunks that are hopefully somewhat organized. So I'll go look at an account, 3 out of 10, 5 out of 10, right? Let's look at this example. 125 for an 8 out of 10. 333 for a 3 out of 10. So if you can improve something from 3 out of 10 to 8 out of 10, you are going to be cutting your costs in a third. So look, the economy is not great in this when I'm currently filming this video. If you have to cut back costs, one of the best ways you can do that without losing anything is to improve your quality scores if they're not in a great place. If you get it all the way to 10 out of 10, it's $1. That's a 40% discount. I wanted to say 50, but it's about 40%. And that's usually what I see, getting a 10 out of 10 versus 7 out of 10. And 7 out of 10 is pretty good. Like I'll take no penalty at this point in time. You can get 30 or 40% off, really. And we'll take that any day. It's always worth striving for the 10 out of 10. And so these are the averages. Now, keep in mind, you're really not going to be able to run ads at 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10 most of the time. They usually restrict your ads from being able to run just because they're too low quality. Normally, if you have a really bad ad, Google will just, that's not breaking any rules. It's just kind of garbage. Google will put you at 3 out of 10 and they'll just charge you a lot of money. As you can see, on average, 134% more than baseline. Pretty expensive. So let's look at the real world example. So 10 Scores had this data pulled from one of their advertisers that they're just reporting anonymously. And as you can see, their cost per click at each quality score in practice, $7 for 3 out of 10, under $0.50 or just about $0.50 for 10 out of 10, a 14th of the cost. I mean, these numbers are kind of mind-boggling. And it's how some people that work in search engine marketing or SEM, or that say they're going to optimize your Google ads, and that are actually good at it, by the way, can give you numbers that just don't even make sense. They're so good because you've been just used to getting penalized. Some people aren't going to be really happy that I'm just like spilling the beans on this, but whatever. Let's go into reason number 2, why your Google ad is going to, what was number 1? Oh yeah, why does it matter, right? Yeah, so second reason it matters, right? The higher the ad rank, better your position. And that also depends on your quality score. So quality score, ad rank, better position. Better positioning means that you're going to get higher CTR. You're going to be gathering more market share. You're going to be controlling more of the market. You're going to beat out your competitors more often. You're also going to just get better prices overall. Let's look at what that means. Essentially, it's pretty simple. As you move up from a 3 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 in your ad rank, you're going to triple your ad rank. Over triple. You're going to go from 6 to 20. And that's going to have a huge impact on your position. So what's the difference? I can cover this in another video, but essentially, while it's similar, they're different things. Ad rank's usually a hidden value. You can kind of calculate it out if you're good at figuring that out. Ultimately, we're worried about quality score today. How do you find it? I recommend screenshotting this. I'll also have the link literally to this guide for free in the comment section and in the description box. So feel free to go through this whole guide. This is just me overlaying my experience on this. Shout out to 10 Scores, great program. Used them for months, years at this point, honestly. Used them during the whole pandemic. They're really great. So let's look through. So that's how you find it. You can basically just add a column for quality score to your keywords tab, and then you're going to know quality score for every single search. Pretty easy. Once you have columns set up, as with most of Google Ads, setting up the columns is one of the hardest things to do for people that don't know what to show. You'll be good. You'll be good. Okay, so what are the quality score components, right? Biggest things that matter for quality score, 3 factors: expected click-through rate, ad relevance, landing page experience. What does that mean? Let me get some more water. We'll come back. Okay. User experience, CTR, ad relevance. Let's start. Okay. So if you combine ad relevance and landing page experience under user experience, which is basically just, what happens when someone's searching on Google. Google obviously cares way more about their users than they care about us as advertisers. I think it's important to know that, because if you're not providing a good experience to the people on Google, i.e., like you're clickbaiting, or like you're just doing things in a way where a user could get kind of frustrated and pissed and report your ad or whatever, that's going to come back and bite you. Unless you're spending a lot of money and you have a lot of different ads running, you're going to get in trouble. It's a good way to get your account banned. And I would be careful about these really aggressive strategies that people employ, where they're maybe selling something that's a little bit different than what's, actually on the landing page, just to try and pump up CTR numbers, try to pump up engagement rate. Google catches onto that stuff really fast. They have more data than, all of us combined, right? So just a forewarning there. So let's look at ad relevance, right? They're talking about product XYZ because they're just being generic, but like if a user searches by, like skater shoes online, right? And then your ad is selling, as part of your shoe brand, those skater shoes, and you direct them to a page that's about the skater shoes that you've just released, or maybe it's like your whole, um, your whole lineup of skater shoes. That's a perfect experience from Google's perspective. Your ad was on point. It talked about your unique product, talked about what they're looking for, and it talked about probably some benefits, right? Maybe you have a promo code in there, or you have just a discount that you're advertising specific to Google. Google loves that kind of thing. And then you get them onto a landing page that loads fast, very clear CTA buttons, very clear actions. You don't have a bunch of like full screen takeovers that are blocking them from being able to like progress forward into your website and experience. And then people aren't bouncing immediately. You're going to get a good ad relevance and landing page experience score. So let's look at that second part, that landing page experience. So your landing page should provide a good user experience by really following up on what was promised in the ad. If you think about that skater example, skater shoes, what we did well in following up is having a landing page that was about a specific shoe or a specific type of shoe, like skater shoes, that really followed through on what the ad sold them on. If you get a high CTR, but they don't really know what they're clicking, that's a bad experience. It should be very clear what they're clicking, what they're opting into when they click on your ad. And then things that they recommend are like unique offer, of course, clear purpose, clear CTA, high page load speed. What they really mean is a fast page load speed, transparency, privacy. Of course, there's regulations like GDPR, California Privacy Act, etc. Mobile friendliness, extremely important on Google. and then an easy navigation, either a top bar, hamburger menu, pick your poison, right? You have all of this and it's on point, you're going to have a good landing page experience. And now let's talk about this other piece, the historical click-through rate. The third factor that is going to impact whether you have a garbage quality score or a really good one. So how do we think through that? Well, historical click-through rates have an overwhelming impact on quality score, as they say. Totally makes sense, right? Because from Google, they have all of the data on all of the searches and all of the data on all of the clicks on all of the searches. So that's a ton of data for them. And of course, they're going to use that second piece to really grade you against other advertisers. So even if there's not a bunch of active advertisers in your space, at one point there probably were other advertisers. And they can pull that data and they can say, okay, historically, Skater shoes have a 5% click through rate. This person's ads, your ads, have a 10% click through rate. That's twice as good. So we're going to reward you by saying that you're above expectations. And we're going to give you a good score on that component of quality score. On the flip side, what happens to a lot of advertisers is they might think they have a high CTR because they're not used to Google search, which always has higher CTRs than any other pretty much promotion mechanism, is they will actually have, compared against historic rates, a low CTR. So it's really important to take this into account because you're not only competing against other advertisers currently in your market that are actively spending money on Google Ads, but you're also competing against, rather, everyone that's advertised before you in that space for those queries. So ultimately, if you have this whole combination of, strong click-through rate over time on your account, you provide people a consistent experience, you beat out the competition with better advertisements that follow through on their promises, you're going to get a strong quality score. Now, if we also look at the historic click-through rates, move myself a little bit so I can see, 80% of it comes down to historic click-through rate factors. Essentially, your account is the most important. So if you have a strong history, you're good. If you have a weak history, they're going to really bank on that historical performance. Honestly, my hypothesis here is they always factor in historical performance when benchmarking your account because different keywords can be so different, right? If someone's looking for like urgent help on something, they're going to have really high intent to click on something that's going to solve their problem. But if they're just browsing like informational stuff, they're not really sure, they might have a lower CTR, or they might be, going more towards like the organic stuff that could be more helpful for that or informational search. So I think they're using both, the historic and the account data. And even if you have a proven track record, you're still going to get measured against the historical performance. Now, the other two things that are less important but still matter, relevance factors. So the other piece is how relevant is the ad against the keyword? And then the third is how relevant is the ad to the search query, right? So out of all the ads you have in your ad group, right? Maybe you made 3, maybe you made 5. I recommend always having at least 3 per ad group, however you're organizing them. How relevant is the keyword to any of them? Is there a match there? Hopefully there is, because at least you got some theming in the way that you're organizing your account. And then for the specific ad, how well does it match that specific search query that the user is looking for? And there's a difference here because a keyword is going to be different than the actual search term, the search query. Someone could look up kidney stone, and they have a kidney stone right then, right? But what if they have, they're looking up kidney stones, and they want to have more like informational content. Those are two completely different needs that would both show up when someone is looking up or when you have selected your keywords to be under the umbrella. Maybe it's a open match term, right? Broad match for kidney stone. You're going to pull up all of those kidney stone and kidney stones users, even though they have two completely different instances where, two completely different experiences. So there's another tidbit here, right? I think this is good information to know. Search partners like AOL, Google Images, etc. Quality score works, the same. Ultimately, I think that you should. I agree with what 10 Scores is saying here. Separate it out. I don't use search partners on any campaign until I've fully validated Google search on its own. So I just uncheck that box. I'll be making another video on things that you should just stay away from. Google has a lot of things that I think are spend traps, where you just shouldn't have these settings on if you're new to the advertising world. Eats up a lot of budget. Okay, so we're going to skip past display. Video is not about it. Ultimately, what do the numbers mean, right? And what can you do? That's what this video is all about. If you made it this far, thank you. If you're just skipping to this point, hello. 7 out of 10, always. I think this is the great benchmark. It means that you are not being you're not being punished, essentially. So you're not being punished. Great. But we can do better than that, right? Well, sometimes you can't. If your manager is talking to you about improving quality score and you find out that for certain terms you just can't get above 7, that's how it goes for certain terms, especially in law, some terms in insurance, these really big industries, you will not be able to get above 7. It's either there's too much competition, there's too much regulation, there's a lot of limitation, there's a lot of issues that will prevent you from getting above 7. But you should always try. Yeah. And if you have anywhere below 7, you really need to fix it. Now, there's levels to how much you need to fix it. Obviously, if you're anywhere below 3, your ads literally can't run. So it's kind of pointless. If you're at 3, they're going to say you're sick. Your keywords are suffering. You're not getting the traffic you could be, and you're going to get charged really high prices, right? So not only are your ads limited in scope, but you're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to get the same amount of people for the same budget that someone with better ads will be able to. And it's like really it's a exponential effect, because if you have a bad ad, it's probably not going to convert people as much. It's going to have a lower click-through rate. It's going to have a worse quality score. So your cost per click, it can balloon. I've seen accounts where they have a 3 out of 10 quality score and they go to 8 out of 10, and they get, it's like a 90% reduction in their cost per click and ultimately their cost per conversion. It's crazy. This is so important to do. Like if you're not monitoring your quality score and you're managing even 1,000 a month in spend on Google Ads, please just literally pause this, screenshot this. I don't care. Go fix it. Leave a comment. Like I'll help you. I don't care. I just want you to have a better situation where you're getting much better results from this. And you can literally follow this guide. It's going to be in the description. Okay. So what happens when you're at 4 to 6? I think this is like, even when I launch campaigns, I'll see numbers in the 4 to 6 range. And it's honestly, a lot of it is you just haven't figured out, what the perfect match is for the user and how to get them to, get onto the website, click the ad, and then do something that matters. It happens all of the time, right? It happens to clients, happens to me. happens in my own personal brands. It's really normal. And it's also like really easy to fix and improve. I think 4 to 6 is a really easy range. I think 3 is actually a little bit harder sometimes, but probably the hardest is a little bit later. So ultimately, you got to regroup a lot of the time, is what 10 Scores recommends, and write better ads. I totally agree with this. I think writing ads is probably the easiest step, because you can just write and test. You can duplicate what you have and then make an ad variant on top of that, change some stuff up in your responsive search ads, make a variant on top. You've got 2 experiments that you can run. And, odds are that if you organize things properly, you're going to see really fast results. Now, what happens when you get to 7, right? Ultimately, when you're at 7, Google likes what you're doing. Flat out, you're doing a good job. I don't want to penalize people that have 7 out of 10, because they're going to think, oh, well, it's just like a C minus, right? Like, that's pretty bad. We're all coached like from the American like education system, at least, like you need to have a 10 out of 10 on everything. Because if you don't have a 10 out of 10, you're like failing. It's like terrible, blah, blah, blah. Like you're not going to get into college. It's not how it works with Google Ads. If you're at a 7 out of 10, you're doing good. You're not getting penalized. You're fair market rate. But we can do even better than that. And that's what we should strive for. So, like I said, like I said at the top of the video, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. This is the holy grail, right? This is what you're aiming for. By achieving this, you've really surpassed expectations for how ads could perform, and your performance is above average. Your costs are going to get discounted, and you're also going to get put into higher positions on Google search and more frequently than other people. You literally unlock additional market share. And a lot of people don't know this, but 10 out of 10 ads, they get access to like this whole other group of people and a larger population of people, which means that they're more scalable when they're converting correctly. They are cheaper and they're just more effective. Who doesn't love that? Anyway, like they said here, the jump from 7 to 10 to anything above it is not linear and doesn't a lot of the time make sense, right? Keywords often go from 7 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 with no transition to 8 or 9. I see this all the time. It's a huge bump from 7 out of 10 to 10 out of 10. And oftentimes when it goes to 8 or 9, that's where it's going to stay until you revamp the website, until you change the product, until you have something that just shakes up the market a little bit. That's where people get stuck a lot of the time. And it's not a bad place to get stuck in, honestly. Okay, so how do you improve it? That's what this video is about. So look, guys, in every case, getting 10 out of 10 happens when you've got a higher CTR, you are highly relevant, and you are providing a great experience to all of the people coming to your website. Here's what 10 Scores ranks as the most important things that you should follow. First up, structure your ad groups by intent. Totally agree. I don't think it's important to like do everything broken out in like a single keyword ad groups, but I think single theme ad groups where you have, search intent families almost, where it's like everything is roughly in the same intent. I think it works really well. Now, obviously, 10 Scores has a keyword grouping tool, and that's what they're selling here. But I think it, again, makes sense. I mean, I personally have used this tool, and it really does improve ad relevance because it just uses a lot of like automation and somewhat, I don't want to say algorithm based improvements, but it really does reduce the manual work required. And I'm really not trying to shill these guys. I just think they've made a really great product. Um, Ultimately, I use this a lot, and I think it just makes sense. Structure your ad groups by intent. Group everything in little clusters by topic. So, next thing, get a better click-through rate than your competitors. How do you know, right? Well, how do you know if you have a better click-through rate? Well, once you top out at your click-through rate and you feel like you have, a really effective landing page and everything is clustered by intent in terms of your campaign and ad group organization, check your quality score. If it's not good enough, you probably need a better CTR. Go rewrite your ads. I rewrite ads every single week, and I've done it for over 7 years. It's just something you have to do. It's like muscle memory. It's like push-ups. If you go to the gym, or it's like running, it's like eating vegetables. Rewrite your ads. If you're not comfortable with copywriting and takes you a lot of time, I'm sorry, I don't care. Rewrite your ads. You need to have that skill. If you don't, cool. So you just keep doing that until your expected CTR is above average, period. Next up is you use your CTR to improve your landing page experience. So third step in the process, right? You've got your ad group structured by intent. You've got a better click-through rate than your competitors. Use all of that extra clicks, all those extra people that are funneled in the correct way to then improve your landing page experience. Put people in these intent clusters on the right pages on your website. Create more pages if you have to. It's fine. As long as you get people going into the right location, it's the thing that matters most. So they have a really useful flowchart here that we're going to break down. And essentially, after you start, you pick the keyword that gets you the most clicks and the most conversions. If you don't have conversion tracking enabled, we're going to do a whole entire video suite on that. But for now, there's a lot of videos on YouTube that'll show you exactly how to set up conversion tracking. So I'll let you go do that. Then look at your quality score. Is it above 7 out of 10? If so, just go on, just move on, because there's probably some that aren't. Now, if it's not, which it's probably not if you're on this video, just being honest, sorry guys, check the ad group, okay? If the ad group has less than 10 keywords, restructure it into smaller families of 10 keywords or less, okay? Now, if it does have less than 10 keywords, check your match types. The odds are you're not using exact match. Now, broad match has its place and it's picking up steam, especially in some more advanced search engine marketing communities, but I'm going to assume we're not there yet. So if you are not using exact match, do it. Quality score, for a lot of people that don't know, is evaluated on these exact match queries. Add the keyword in the exact match variation and then monitor that and optimize for that. I would even separate it out into its own testing environment, its own testing campaign or ad group. Next up, check landing page experience. So this is a few assumptions in, right? You don't have keywords above 7 out of 10. They're already grouped into groups of less than 10 keywords. You are using exact match. If all of those things have been checked off, check your landing page experience. If it's below average, make sure it's mobile friendly, you have links to your privacy policy, and it loads quickly. Okay. If it's not below average, check how many ads you have. The odds are you only have one ad and it's underperforming. This is the easiest thing to solve. I see it all the time. They come to me and they say, you know what? I don't know what's going on. My costs are really high. We've redone our website. We think it looks great. We have good engagement, but the costs are just so high, we can't get good conversion costs in. I look at the ad account, hasn't been touched in like a year, and they've got one ad per ad group, and it hasn't been changed at all or optimized. And this is a really common situation. So check the number of ads. If you have 2 ads running, move on. If you have 1 ad running, make another ad, okay? If there are more than 2 ads, look, I honestly recommend 3. I disagree with them here. They recommend pause the others and keep the best two. If you have more than 3, I recommend you pause the others and keep only the 3 best up, okay? Make sure that you're not testing too many things at the same time, too. Just something to be aware of. Get everything to best practices as much as you can, and then have a clear test. Okay, next up. After that, if you have only 2 ads running, check your ad CTR. Pretty simple. After you have checked your ad CTR, benchmark it against the column that shows ad CTR performance, the expected performance metric. If it is above average, then you should have a 7 or better quality score. If it's below average, then you need to go check your ad group extensions, make sure that you're using, site links and callouts, because the algorithm rewards use of these things. And then additionally, start testing. Now they call this is a pretty fun thing, the ad test marathon, which you're checking constantly. Is quality score 7 out of 10? Do the ads have 200 or more impressions? If not, then wait. If so, pause the ad with lower CTR and then make another ad. They have a process. I'll let you click through. And then you do that process and then you write another ad. And you keep doing this until you have an above 7 out of 10 quality score. Pretty easy. Now, the secret is to get all of this, right? All of this process down to a fine-tuned science. 30 minutes or less for this entire guide. The only way that you can get there, because it feels probably super overwhelming to do, is by practicing. You just have to go in and practice every single week. Do this. If you think, my account's too good, it's perfect, I have it perfectly optimized. Look, I've been there. You're probably coping. Honestly, there is so much room for improvement in Google Ads, and there are new terms coming every day. There's new ways to optimize your ads. But if you've managed to secure that full 10 out of 10 quality score Google account, I applaud you. That's pretty impressive and really rare to see. Even my most prized Google Ads accounts that I've done for clients that are in, hundreds of thousands of spend per month have only gotten to 9.3 or 9.5 or 9.7, which is still a 30 to 40% discount against benchmark. Anyway, I hope this video has been useful and not too rambly. If we have some good results from this, I'll try a bunch more of these more rambling, kind of less structured videos. I know the slideshows aren't the most exciting thing, and ultimately I'm just trying to help people get better at advertising. So if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, leave a comment, and like. It really matters a lot to us as a small organization, just trying to help people get better at marketing. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.